Shalom, brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
Tawaf Shabbat, good Sabbath. I see the rain trying to keep a lot of us from coming. Get into that sluggish spirit. Get a lot of phone calls. Okay, get your pens and your papers out. I want you to take some notes. Because in the next class that I give, I'm going to go back over these same notes in the same class, and we're going to add a little bit more to it. Okay? Now, the topic of the class, let's see what I can come up with. Satan's attempt. I got it written, but I want to change it. Satan's attempt to destroy the promised seed. Okay, and that promised seed is the Mashiach, Christ, Yahushua. And it's also dealing with the church, the nation, Israel. Okay, so the topic is Satan's attempt to destroy the promised seed. And when you read the scriptures, there were many accounts that Satan tried to destroy a deliverer for Israel. He tried to take Moses out, right? And the Pharaoh was killing the babies from what, 2 years and down. And when you read in the New Testament, the Herods was doing the same thing when Christ came on the scene. Tried to kill the young males from 2 years and down to keep the Messiah from coming to this earth. That's the whole game plan. And we're going to start in Genesis, the 3rd chapter and the 15th verse. That's the whole game plan. The seed of the woman against the seed of the serpent. Come on. See, because you read throughout the scriptures, Satan is not coming to the earth and do this work himself. He worked through people. See, the people is his instruments to stop the nation from coming back and to stop the Messiah from coming and putting in the work that the Most High had him to put in. See, Satan actually tried to kill Yahushua. Yahushua died, right? But did Satan kill him? Yahushua gave his life up. See, that's why when you read in the scriptures, all these many attempts that Satan actually tried to kill. See, if he had killed Yahushua, he would have been successful. But Yahushua said, look, I laid down my life. No man take my life. Okay, I'm laying my life down for this purpose. For my people, to bring my people back, to bring the church back. The church of the Most High. Okay, no man take my life. No, Satan, you can't kill me. I lay my life down. And that's the difference. See, because many attempts Satan tried to actually kill the Mashiach. Every Messiah or everyone that the Most High set up to deliver Israel, Satan tried to take them out. But the Most High's game plan is going to prevail throughout the end of time. Okay? So let's go to Genesis, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start off with the 15th verse.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
Right.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
He said, I will put enmity. That's hatred. And you can see that today. And we're going to go all the way down the line in history. I mean, it may not be in order, but we're going to get some history on the different events that Satan was working through individuals or nations to take out the promised seed. When I say the promised seed, I'm going to add the Messiah and the nation of Israel. Okay? And if you look at it, Satan's attempt is really against Judah. Because the Messiah is coming out of the tribe of Judah. I know the other tribes are going through hell from Satan too. But Judah got it bad. At least the other tribes can say, I mean, they've been oppressed in their own land. At least they can say, well, I'm going back here, but they've been oppressed there. But Judah can't say nothing. I'm going back where?
Down south.
Down south, yeah. I'm going back down south. I'm going back home. Yeah, you ain't going home yet. Because the Messiah is coming out of Judah. So Satan is attacking the whole nation. But look at Judah. They the head leading tribe, and the Mashiach is coming out of the tribe of Judah. And Judah is depicted as the lowest there is. Nobody wants to be around Judah. Now, what you say, corn for?
That's what you do.
Okay.
That's right.
You know, I mean, really, if you look at the whole nation, nobody likes the Israelites, man. We're a hated nation. You know, nobody, they don't want us to come back. They don't want the Most High to set the nation of Israel up and we become the ambassadors of the whole world. They don't want that. Because when we come back as a nation, that means this is going to be executed the right way. Right. If you want to be a lesbian, off goes your head. You want to be a sodomite faggot, off goes your head. You want to rob and steal, off goes your head. Your pants you want to walk around with your pants off your butt, off goes your head. Because these laws here, we're going to be dignified. The morals are going to come back within this nation when we're set up. And it's going to be pushed into all nations throughout the whole earth. Israel is not, going to be abiding by the laws and everybody else is going to be breaking them. It's not going to work like that. The whole earth is going to pay homage to the Mashiach and the Most High. Okay, mainly the Most High, because he's the orchestrator of everything that's going down in this planet Earth. All the prophecies, all the game plan, from the very beginning, the Most High is what? The orchestrator of it. Okay, he's the master chess player. That's right. He's the master chess player. That's right. Checkmate. He's moving all the time, man. I mean, a lot of times we can't see it, but the Most High is working. Okay, read that again. Genesis 3:15.
Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Thou shalt bruise his heel. Yeah, Yahushua was crucified. Okay, but he gained that victory. But when he come back this time, I mean, the victory's already there. Let's look at it as a courtroom setting. Okay, in court, he has the victory. Okay, but it haven't really been performed yet. You know what I'm saying? Like the court said, okay, you got that, but yet such and such time, you're going to get this money or you're going to get this, right? It's already set up, but he haven't instituted or he haven't got the rulership yet. Okay, now let's go from there. Let's start with some of the history that went down, how Satan tried to stop the promised seed. Now one, it started with Cain and Abel. Satan worked through Cain to kill Abel. Because Satan was thinking, well, to take Abel out, okay, that's the lineage Mashiach coming out, okay, to take out Abel, I got this. But after Cain killed Abel, the Most High plan continued. Who came next? Seth. Now the lineage is coming through Seth now. See? And Satan always tried to destroy the Davidic line because he know the Messiah is coming through the royal lineage of Judah, which is David. Okay, now there was one time in history Satan was almost successful. We're going to get that a little later. He was almost successful when he destroyed all the royal seed. But he forgot about one little boy. And through that little boy, that royal seed continued. And the Mashiach came out of that little boy that was saved. They hid him inside the temple for 6 years. Okay, because this was Athaliah. The queen Athaliah was killing all the royal seed, but she missed this guy. His name was Joash. We're going to get there. That's in 2nd Chronicles. She missed him. Okay, so Cain and Abel, you can find that a lot of scriptures that I call out, we're not going to go to those scriptures, but write these scriptures down. You can find that in Genesis, the 4th chapter and the 8th verse. Because Satan tried to destroy that seed. He had Cain working through Cain, and he killed Abel. But the Most High brought it back through Seth. So let's go to Genesis, the 4th chapter. Yeah, we already there. Let's turn over to the 4th chapter. Read Read the first verse. And let's see what Eve said. Eve was thinking, okay, I got my first son. This is the seed that the Mashiach is coming out of. Listen to what she said. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 4 verse 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain.
Go ahead.
And said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh.
I've gotten a man from the Most High. I've gotten, okay, this is going to be the promised seed. The promised seed is coming through. This guy, the Most High said, nope. Yep, you got a son from me, but that ain't it. Yeah, so she said, I got a man from the Most High, but that wasn't the promise. That wasn't the promised seed, though. And that wasn't the lineage that the Mashiach was going to come out of. Okay? Now, if you look at Genesis, the 6th chapter, Genesis, the 6th chapter, you see that Satan tried to corrupt the whole world. Satan tried to corrupt the whole world by causing all type of wickedness and evil in Genesis 6. So Satan didn't stop his plan. See, he's still trying to corrupt the royal seed from Genesis the 4th chapter and now Genesis the 6th. The whole world was in wickedness. The whole world was corrupt. That's why the Most High brought that flood, because Satan tried to corrupt. The lineage tried to corrupt that royal seed. So that's that second program that he had, Genesis 6. Now we going on. Genesis the 11th chapter. Write these chapters down. Okay, I read you Genesis 3:15, Genesis the 4th chapter, 1st verse, all the way to the 8th verse, and Genesis the 6th chapter. That speaks about Noah and his sons and their wives were the 8 people were the only one that was liberated after the flood. Okay? Now Genesis the 11th chapter. The Tower of Babel, right? And this whole situation was corrupted through what? Political, religious system. So the Most High stepped in, and what did the Most High do? Confused the tongues. And they scattered abroad. See, the plan is there. See, the Most High, Satan, he has a part to play. You remember the last class I did on Job, that there was a heavenly council, and Satan was summoned up to that council, and Satan started asking the Most High about Job, and the Most High said, have you considered my servant Job? Satan said, look, I'll make him curse you to your face. The Most High said, yeah, okay, but don't kill him. Whatever's in your hand, whatever you think, do it to him, but don't kill him. See, so the Most High summoned Satan up to the heavenly council and gave him the go-ahead, to try to attempt to keep Israel from coming back, or to try to cut the seed off. But it's not going to happen. The Most High like a good battle. Just like the battle with the Pharaoh of Egypt. He hardened Pharaoh's heart for a good test, for a good battle. He hardened his heart, hardened his mind. Okay, now from there, let's go to Galatians 3:16. Write these scriptures down. Galatians 3:16. Yeah, call it out. Galatians 3:16.
Galatians chapter 3 verse 16. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made.
It said, now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. Go ahead.
He saith not, and to seeds as of many.
He said, not as seeds with an S, as of many. Read on.
But as of one.
As of one. Go ahead.
And to thy seed.
Right.
Which is Yahushua.
Which is who? Yahushua. Only one seed. And that's the seed that Satan trying to prevent. But the work is already put in. And when we're going to go to Revelation, the 12th chapter, when we read about the red dragon tried to attack the child, but the child was taken up to the heavens, sitting on the throne next to the Most High. And from there, what did Satan do? He started attacking the woman. And that's the nation. See, he couldn't get to the child. He went after the child's seed, the child's people, which is the church, which is Israel, the remnant. Okay? Now, you read that. Now, let's go to Genesis 27:41. Satan tried to use Esau when Esau tried to kill Jacob. It's like I said, it's not in order. But Esau tried to kill Jacob. That's Satan using Esau. Genesis 47, 27 and 41.
Genesis chapter 27 verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Then will I slay my brother Jacob. That's Satan working in the minds of Esau. Once again, trying to destroy that promised seed, because Satan knew that that seed was going to come through Jacob. You understand? And it's still a battle today. I mean, we look at a lot of young black men out there being shot. Crazy. No mercy. No nothing. Just shoot them down. You know why? That's Satan again. But they look at us as nothing but property. That's all we are. Nothing but property.
Right.
All up in the 14th Amendment Constitution with nothing but property. That's why I said Judah is catching his hell, because the Mashiach is coming out of the tribe of Judah. And Satan don't want that. And he never wants us to come back as a nation in full strength and power with the Most High. I want to read something to you. I was looking in the Lost Tribes in Promised Land, and I came across this little piece. It say, a person born listed as a Negro on his birth certificate and later reclassified as black. You know, that's what we did. Negro, I'm not Negro, I'm black now. I'm not black. I'm Afro-American now. I'm not Afro-American. I'm African-American now. Just keep changing up. You know, being everything except for who we are. The Israelites that the Bible speaks of. It's a person listed as a Negro on his birth certificate and later reclassified as black, then reclassified as African American. Listen, African American, which is a 14th Amendment citizen and now made property by the United States Presidential Executive Order 13037, signed by Bill Clinton.
Wow.
And then it goes on. The term African American is a federal government term describing property. So you said, I'm African American. No, you're saying that I'm America's property. We're their property.
And then commit a crime and go to jail. Article the 13th Amendment says you're a slave again.
You're a slave again.
Right.
So either way, we're losing.
Right.
Until we come back to the Most High. Either way, we're losing. And Satan is at work. Don't want to see Israel on top as a nation. Never wants to see that again. Why? Because justice is going to be executed in this earth. Justice. Lands is going to be reestablished to whom they belong. You understand? Payback is going to be instituted in this earth.
What's that executive order again?
13037. Yeah, come on.
I don't know if you heard he brought out that there were some chapters missing out of Malcolm X's autobiography, and the particular chapter that's mentioned is entitled The Negro.
Okay.
So all of a sudden it just reappeared and ended up being sold to the Schoenberg Library.
Schoenberg, yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, I think he said he was bringing out that the Negroes are the true children of the Most High.
Right.
So,
and he knew that.
Out of all those chapters, how come coincidentally that particular chapter pertaining to the Negro, it was missing? It just reappeared.
That's Satan again. You know, they want to keep us blind and dumb and killing one another and all that, man. You know, I mean, if we had as much heart to kill one another than to really go against our enemies and then establish for ourselves, man, then we do well. But Malcolm X knew that he was an Israelite. I'm talking to an elder. He was one of Rabbi Bibben's students. The brother is, you know, he's blind. He's 93 years old. And you know, I go sit with him, give some information. And he went through some things with me. He said that Malcolm used to come to the school. But he said that he couldn't really hang out, you know, stay there because Malcolm was coming with a lot of other stuff too. So they really wasn't dealing with that. But Malcolm came up to the school. And that's 125th Street. Yeah. And I heard one brother mention, I forget this brother's name. He said that Rabbi Matthews, I said Rabbi Bibbins, right? Okay, now this brother said Rabbi Matthews was, he used to counsel Malcolm X. See, Israel was intermingling, I'm saying back in the days, for as the politics, they was intermingling with the politicians and intermingling with the people. Charles Rangel was a frequent visit to Rabbi Matthews' congregation on 124 Mount Martyrs Park. A lot of top politicians used to come here. And Rabbi Matthews and Elijah Muhammad was like this. They both was trying to convert one another. You know, Matthews was trying to give, hey, you're Israelites. So Elijah Muhammad was trying, oh, you be Muslim. You know, so they knew one another. Yeah, they knew one another. Yeah, see, back then it was a lot of things going on, but it's like we are today. It's like it's times that we don't want to deal with anything. We want to stay separate. But those brothers back then, they got with the people. Got with the neighborhoods, set up certain programs and things, you know. Yeah.
Marcus Garvey had Israelites on his board.
Marcus Garvey had one brother with him that was Rabbi Matthews' teacher, Honor Josiah Ford. So from what I read, that Marcus Garvey dismissed it. Now, I believe that Honor Josiah Ford was trying to teach him that he's an Israelite, and Marcus didn't want to accept that. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. See, yeah. So let's jump back into the scriptures. We finished Genesis 27:41. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 22:10-12. Right.
2 Chronicles chapter 22, verse 10. But when Athaliah, the mother of Uzziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal of the house of Judah.
Athaliah saw her son Ahaziah was dead. She destroyed all the royal seed of the house of Judah. Now that's Satan at work again. See, it says she destroyed all the royal seed of the house of Judah. That was Satan's plan, to destroy all the seed, so the Messiah cannot come. Read on.
But Jehoshabeath,
right,
the daughter of the king, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons that were slain.
So as these sons and this royal seed was being killed, she kind of took this little boy, snuck him away, and she hid him. Read on.
And put him in his nurse in and put him in his nurse in a bedchamber. So Jehoshabeath, the daughter of King Jehoram,
right,
the wife of Jehodiah the priest,
right,
for she was the sister of Ahaziah,
come on,
hid him from Athaliah so that she slew him not.
See, one boy was saved. Go ahead.
And he was with them hid in the house of the Most High 6 years.
He was hid in the who? The house of the Most High, in the temple, for what? 6 years, until it was time to present himself. See, so Satan failed again. Failed again. Okay, and for Satan to go through the levels and strength to stop the seed from coming back, it's bloodshed. It's deaths. He kills. Okay, from here, let's go to the book of Esther now. Y'all know the story about Esther? Give me some hands and tell me what happened in the book of Esther. How did we get the feast day Purim? What went on? Tell me something. Give me something now. I know you read it. Give me some hands.
Esther,
I said give me some hands. Come on, let's go.
okay, one of the stories in Esther is she found favor in front of the king, and she found out Haman was going to destroy all the Jews throughout the land.
Right.
Haman's wicked plan was he built guillotines.
Right.
And
Gallows.
gallows to
They probably gonna get chopped off. With
yeah,
guillotines.
chop the heads off the kings. And then when the kings found out,
Right.
when Esther came to the king and she told him his plot,
How did Esther find out?
I think, hold on.
Leave alone. Leave
Her
that brother alone.
Her cousin Mordecai, through her cousin Mordecai,
Her uncle.
her uncle
Right,
Mordecai, told her about the plot.
You know, because he was like a gatekeeper. So
Yeah.
so they standing, you know, these guys standing, they plotting. Yo, man, this king didn't, give me this position, but man, let's take his head off, man, let's go and assassinate this guy. So Haman, Haman was this type of dude that he's doing the work or what have you, but he ear hustling.
Yeah.
He kicking back.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know my niece is in there with the king, and I know the king loves her because Esther was very beautiful. What tribe was she from? What? Let's go in the Bible and find out what tribe was she from. What tribe was she from?
I'm going to say Levi.
Kahan just said that because I said she was very beautiful. Now, you got Levi's beautiful too now, but Esther, to attract the king like that, she was Benjamin. To attract the king like that, she was fine as wine. You understand? So now the king first wife, what was her name?
Vashti?
Vashti. Right. Huh? Okay, yeah. She didn't where the king had set up a festival. And he had most of the nations were there. Kings, queens, everybody was there. So the king sitting back, they drink a little wine, he getting a little tipsy. Hey man, I got the baddest queen on the face of this planet Earth. Oh yeah? Watch this. Bring my queen out. She didn't want to come out. So now the king is looking, he got all these dignitaries, all these top officials there. He's looking. Can I tell you that she don't want it? So now he's looking like he don't have that control and power of his kingdom, especially his wife or his queen. So he held a council, and if I can remember some of the story, he held a council, and some of the men said, "Look, you got to do something about this, because if you don't, the other women would be influenced with what your queen did, and they would start disrespecting their husband too." So the men would say, "Look, king, we don't want our wife disrespecting us, man. So something has to be done." So the king said, "Hey, look," he put forth a decree. Vashti was dismissed, and he sent the men out to get another woman for his harem. And they went throughout. See, this is the Most High's plan too, because Moses already knew Satan was going to work in Haman, like you were saying, to try to kill off the whole nation of Israel, you know, the southern kingdom at that time, right? So the Most High knew that Satan's plan was working through Haman. So therefore, to get somebody in that circle next to the king, to get somebody in that domain, I'm going to send my girl Esther. Okay, send her. And her uncle is going to be the guy that's sending, you know, feeding her the information. Because if Mordecai wasn't out there, the plan probably would have broke through. See, because everything Mordecai heard or he saw, he brought it back to Esther. And then Esther, because the king loved her and the king was drunken and seduced with her beauty, she went to the king.
But that all started from that spirit that jumped on Vashti and disobedient.
Right, right.
If she didn't be disobedient, all the other stuff would have happened.
Yeah, Israel would have been wiped out. I mean, we probably wouldn't even be celebrating Purim. Because Purim came about is because, now what was the king of Persia's name? Before I mention the name, y'all tell me. Give me a show of hands.
Artaxerxes.
Right. We're going to get it. What's his other name? He had another name. We're going to get it. But what happened, the king had put the stamp on what Haman had asked him. Look, I want to kill all the Jews in every region. So the king, he was unaware of what was really going on. So he put the stamp on it. He put the seal. Okay, do so. You know, okay, dang. So when Esther came, and she kind of set Haman up when you read the story. She set him up cold. So now when Esther came to the king and explained to him what was going on, the king said, what? And the king had left out the room. And when he came back, Haman was at Esther's feet, pleading with her, please, please don't. But the king saw that he got the wrong idea. He said, man, you trying to seduce my woman too? Man, kill this guy and his sons. See, because he's down at Esther's feet. The king looked at that. He stepped out the room. He came back and said, he thought something else was going on. But Haman was pleading to Esther, please, 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 don't do this. Don't put me out there. But the king, he couldn't overturn the seal that was already given. Okay, that's Persian law. But what he did do, he allowed the Israelites to get weapons to defend themselves. See, he couldn't say, okay, I'm going to overturn this. I'm going to send out where all the nations don't come up against the Jews, the Israelites. He couldn't do that. So what he said, we're going to give the Israelite weapons and let them defend themselves. And when he gave Israel weapons, Israel started taking them out, killing them. Yeah. Because, he couldn't overturn and say, hey, don't kill them, don't mess with it. He said, no, I'm going to give y'all weapons so y'all can defend yourselves. Okay, now let's go to Esther. I'll tell you what.
You wanted to know the name of the king?
We're going to get that. Let's go to Esther. What was Esther? She had another name. What was the other name? Let's go to Esther 2 and 7.
Esther chapter 2, verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah.
What was her name?
Hadassah.
Hadassah. Go ahead.
That is Esther.
Esther.
His uncle's daughter. For she had neither father nor mother. And the maid was fair and beautiful.
Fair and beautiful. Now when the Most High say something is very fair to look upon or beautiful, it got to be that. Got to be like the Commodore's, a brick house, handmade. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Okay, now get ready to write. Esther. Esther means star and happiness. Write that down. Now what I'm giving you, y'all go research and y'all check it out and bring it back to me. Star and happiness.
Star.
And Hadassah, right. Hadassah means myrtle. Myrtle, like a myrtle tree. Because when the Israelites were exiled in Babylon, when they left Babylon, they carried the myrtle tree with them into Jerusalem and made that one of the symbols of the nation. So Hadassah means myrtle. We always taking something with us from captivity. We never got to, always took the tree. Always taking something from slavery. Okay, Hadassah means myrtle. M-Y-R-T-L-E, right?
Myrtle Ave. Myrtle
I
Ave.
ain't saying about myrtle.
Oh, I'm just saying it's not.
All right. Esther, star and happiness. Okay. Now and the myrtle tree signifies life and fertility. Okay? Life and fertility. The myrtle tree. It signifies that. Okay? Write it down. Go check it out. Now, Esther's king name was Ahasuerus. We're going to go into the scriptures and get his name. Ahasuerus, and he's also known as Xerxes the First. Let me see. Ahasuerus, A-H-A-S, you got it?
A-H-A-S-U-E-R-U-S.
Read it. First chapter, first verse.
Esther chapter 1 verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces.
That was a powerful kingdom. A powerful kingdom. You understand? Now,
Wasn't he also the king that practiced witchcraft?
I think quite a few practice witchcraft.
But
But in the history, they say he was very wicked. So,
Yes.
so more than likely, I mean, if they not worshiping the most, thus saith the Lord, it's witchcraft. You know, so if you're not, if it ain't thus saith the Lord, it's witchcraft. Even with Israelites, if it ain't thus saith the Lord, it's witchcraft. You know,
He said rebellion is witchcraft.
yeah, either or. Come on.
You said his name is Xerxes the what?
Yeah, Xerxes the First.
The first.
X-E-R-X-E-S. The first. Okay, now this was a powerful kingdom from India even to Ethiopia. Now, Ahasuerus, who is Xerxes, ruled from 486 to 465 BC. Write this down, and I want y'all to go check it out. You know, if I'm slipping, bring it back to me.
486.
Yeah, 486 BC to 465 BC. Now,
He said 46 or 45.
486 to 465 BC. Right. Now, y'all remember the movie 300?
Yeah.
You remember they kept calling Xerxes' name?
Yeah.
I mean, that's who the 300 was fighting, Xerxes. Now, if you watch the movie, that battle that they was fighting was a battle called the Battle of Thermopylae, which is in Greece. Thermopylae is T-H-E-R-M-O-P-Y-L-A-E, I believe. I'm a bad speller, so kind of close. Thermopylae. T-H-E-R-M-O-P-L-Y, what I said, L-A-E. There was the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC. And what happened, there were 300 Spartans. The movie was called 300, right? But in the history, it said it was 300 Spartans leaded by their king. What was the king name in the movie? Leonidas. In the history, his name is Leonidas. Okay, that's where they got it from. And it was 300 of them with other Greek allies. If you watch the movie, you will see Leonidas, they was going to allies. It was a lot of people merging with them. But they held off Xerxes the First. They held off the army for about 3 days. But at the end, they was defeated. The Spartans, the 300 was defeated. If you saw in that movie, they was defeated. Because Xerxes was coming with all types of crazy stuff, man. Come on.
I was going to ask, I heard something was on the Spartans, like they was Danites.
Yeah, that's what a brother had put a tape out. He was going through, maybe it's still on the internet. He was going through the shield, the shield that they was using. It had some of the, what they call the Lacedaemonians. Okay, and when you read in the Apocrypha, the Lacedaemonians was writing letters to the Maccabees saying, "We are brethren." So that's what the brother was trying to bring out in that video about the Spartans being Israelites. Okay, the 300 was about Israelites. But I don't know if that video is still up. Matter of fact, Karash did a video on it. If you can put his name in and type in 300 or the Spartans, you may see some of his stuff. Okay? Now from here, so we got all that. Ahasuerus and Xerxes the First ruled from 486 to 465 BC, and the battle 480 BC was the battle of Thermopylae. Thermopylae is in Greece. Okay. Now let's go from here. Okay, Esther means star in happiness, tribe of Benjamin. And if you see like Mordecai and Esther, the festival that came out of their victory was what? Purim. And you have, there was victory over their enemies. And you have, in Persia, they got a festival similar to Purim because they was in the Persian Empire. So everywhere we went, nations adopted our customs. Okay, now the Persians have a feast day that they're celebrating victory over their enemies, but their festival is to the god Marduk, and the female goddess Ishtar, which they look at that as Marduk is Mordecai and Ishtar is Esther. See, so people would actually take our people, our great people, and make them into gods and so forth. Let's go to the book of Acts. I'm going to show you something. Acts 14, 8 to 15. Acts 14, 8 verse to the 15.
Acts chapter 14, verse 8. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed.
He had what? Faith to be healed. It takes faith. It takes faith. Go ahead.
Said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on thy feet." And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw that Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in speech of Lycaonia, it's like, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men.
See, the gods have come down to us in the likeness of men. They actually wanted to worship them. The scriptures say that we are gods, but we shall die like men. See, we were once of greater stature. We was elevated over all nations of men. All nations. We was looked at as gods to the nations. But look at us now. I mean, look at Judah. Look at the rest of the tribes. Look at Judah mainly. Okay, so they said the gods have came down to us in the likeness of men. Read on.
And they called Barnabas Jupiter,
They call him Jupiter. Read on.
and Paul
Mercury's.
Mercurus, because he was the chief speaker.
Because it was the chief. Read on.
Then the priests of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people.
This guy wanted to sacrifice to the men. See, the Most High never put that in us to be worshipped by people. You understand? The Most High never put that in us to be like that. That's why when Peter, I think, in Acts 10, they bowed down to Peter. Peter said, look, I'm a man just like you. Okay? And when angels came, angels, no, you do that to the Most High. I'm a servant, a messenger from the Most High. See, the Most High didn't put us out there or as messengers to be bowed down and worshipped by people. See, anytime you read in the scriptures that the people were doing that to the apostles or what have you, they always stopped them. No, you give praises to the Most High. Okay, read on.
Which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out.
Yeah, they ran into the people. Whoa, whoa, hold on, stop. Y'all got to stop this. Read on.
And saying, Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living power, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein.
Right. So Paul is saying, look, y'all need to turn to the Most High. Y'all need to stop this madness and turn to the Most High, because the Most High made the heavens. He made the sea and all that's in them. He's the God, not us, not even your priest. That's the priest of Jupiter. He's not even God. I mean, what he's worshiping and sacrificing to is not even God. Okay, let's go from there now. Let's go back to Moses. Let's go to Exodus, the 1st chapter, 13th verse. Exodus 1st chapter, 13th to the 22nd verse.
Exodus chapter 1 verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
That's Satan again. Read on.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
See, that's Satan plans again. If it be a son, kill him. Okay, read on. Because he's looking for what? Keep that seed out. Keep that seed from coming. Keep Israel from being delivered from bondage. Okay, but in our time now, the seed that will deliver us is Yahushua and the angels. Okay, it won't be somebody that's risen up from here to deliver. No, it's going to be on another level. You understand? It's going to be by Yahushua and the angels, because the scriptures say that Yahushua is going to give the angels charge and give them an order to go and gather the people. Right? Read on.
But the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive.
Right, go ahead.
And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have ye done these things, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared the Most High, that he made them houses. And the Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive.
So he was trying to kill Moses. So Moses was the deliverer of us coming out of Egypt. So Satan is always trying to stop that seed, stop the Mashiach. That's the whole game plan. The seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. Enmity, hatred. Okay, deep hatred. Okay, let's go from there. Let's go to Exodus 2 and 22 to 25.
Exodus chapter 2, 22. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. And for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died. And the children of Israel sighed by reason of the
You
bondage.
said what? The children of Israel sighed by the reason of bondage. Just like slavery. Our great-great-grandparents sighed and crying and because of that hard slavery, that hard bondage, man. A lot of them died in that. Was killed, hung, castrated. Some of them worked themselves to death. Okay, read on.
And the Most High heard their groaning. And the Most High remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And the Most High looked upon the children of Israel, and the Most High had respect unto them.
Unto them. Okay, now, Satan also tried to destroy a prophecy that the Most High made with Abraham. That prophecy was, after we did our time in Egypt, right? Then the Most High would bring us to the land of what? Land of what? Canaan. Okay. So Satan tried to destroy that prophecy. Let's look at it. Now Moses didn't enter into the land. Now Moses passed the mantle to who? Joshua. Joshua was the one that fought those battles that took Canaan. Okay? That fought the Canaanites, that fought all them nations that joined them, because if you look at it, that was Satan again. Because when you read from the book of Joshua, the 6th chapter, y'all write this down and take it home and read it. We're not going to do it here. Okay? Joshua, the 6th chapter to the 13th chapter. The first place that they took, Joshua took, was what? Jericho. And then they started hitting these different areas. But then they messed up one time. I think somebody wasn't right. Some wickedness was going on, and the Most High had a nation to take us out. Then when we got it right, we bounced back and got back on that path of taking Canaan. Now, if you look at it, the Canaanites wasn't just giving the land up to us. They was fighting their behinds off, man. Because Satan had inspired them. Okay, fight for this land. Let them niggas come in here and take this land from you. Fight. See, Satan was working through the Canaanites to not to give their land up. And Israel put in a lot of work, Josh. They put in a lot of work. They was fighting nations after nations. There were kings that was calling other kings, join me to keep these niggas from coming to this land, these Israelites. They just came out of Egypt, man. I don't want them up in here. So they had to continue to fight nations after nations. That was Satan. Satan didn't want them to enter into Canaan, because Satan knew when Israel entered into Canaan, then what's going to happen? Come on. The Messiah is going to be born, man. So to keep the Messiah from being born, don't let him even come in the land. You got me? So that was Satan's job. That's why the Canaanites, man, we're going to fight our hearts out. That's why the battle was so strong. That's why there was different nations merging to keep Israel from coming into Canaan. But we got in there. And then once we got in there, Joshua started separating the land. Okay, Benjamin, you take this. Manasseh, Manasseh, you got this. Reuben, you got that. We took it by way of warfare. And we wasn't only fighting the Canaanites, we was fighting Satan as well, spiritually. Because remember that one time that somebody messed up, and the Most High had the nation come up against us and defeated us. until we got that negative up out of there. You remember? Just read from Joshua chapter 6 all the way to 13. But if somebody can find that chapter in that story, pull it up and let's go over it. See, there's always something, man. Always something with us, man.
Which story is the one you wanted?
It's in the book of Joshua. I forget what chapter.
Which
It
story?
wasn't Acon, was it? I'm trying to... look from the 6th chapter all the way
Talking about
through.
the defeat?
Yeah.
That's
It
chapter
was
7.
Akish or Ahab.
It says AI.
AI, right. So what happened in that chapter? If somebody...
for Acon, son of
It
Carmi.
wasn't that garment, was it? When it wasn't the Babylonian. There's somewhere else, right?
Yeah, it says took the cursed thing.
Right. Okay, what chapter is it?
7.
Okay, read chapter 7 and then write chapter 7 down. Read that, then you will find out why we lost that battle. And after that, we got everything right, and then we started conquering until we finally took the land of Canaan. Okay? But there was Satan working hard trying to keep us from coming back, man. Keep us from coming in that land. Because once we enter that land, the Messiah is going to be born. You understand? But when the Messiah was born or being born, what happened? The Herods tried to prevent, just like during Moses' time, tried to kill the little boys, just like, 2 years down. Just like in Moses' time, the Herods tried to do the same thing. You got that, Slaughter?
7 and 20.
7 and 20, y'all write that down. Joshua, book of Joshua, 7th chapter and the 20th verse. Just that one verse or from 20 down?
20, 21,
Read from 20 on down. We'll probably get it once we finish this. We'll have a little more time.
20 to 20.
So, when the Herod came into Jerusalem, and the Israelites called him a madman, that they called him I believe it was a Carmona or an Idumean. They said he's a half Jew because his father was Antipater, the Idumean, and they was forced to start taking up our customs. They was forced, I believe, about 125 BC by John Hyrcanus. I think it was John Hyrcanus II, I believe. They was forced to circumcise themselves. Write it down, go look it up. Okay, I think approximately 125 BC, if I'm not mistaken. And circumcision was forced upon them. And they was like converted Jews. So when the Herod came into Jerusalem and took that, that's why he was called the King of the Jews. And now his sons, if you check his sons out, the Idumeans were Edomites. They was Esau. Antipater was an Idumean, an Edomite. The Herod, an Edomite. But he was marrying dark-skinned women.
Like today.
Like today. So a lot of his sons that was sitting on the thrones ruling different parts of the land, like Antipas and all these, his other sons, Phaziel, they were dark-skinned, but they was from another nation. That's why the Israelites were like, okay, we look at, okay, black like me, okay, but from another nation. So you had the Herods, father was sitting on the throne with woolly hair and all that, dark skin, because the Herod's wives were all dark-skinned women. He had, he had Samaritans, and he also married, and he loved this woman, he married a Maccabee princess by the name of Miriam the First. He married her. And that's what made him, because he's connected to the Hashmoneans now. Right? That's what the Maccabees was called, the Hashmonean dynasty. Write that down. And they got that name from one of their forefathers. His name was Hashmon. Okay, write that down and go check it out. And there was another wife that he had. She was called Cleopatra of Jerusalem. So go look that up. Now, when you read about the Cleopatras, when you read about Mark Antony, madly in love with Cleopatra, that was Cleopatra VII. Now, those Cleopatras of Egypt at that time, that was under the Greeks. The Greeks and the Seleucids. So you had the Cleopatra at that time under the Greeks, they were Edomites. Now, they probably had pigmentation, but their lineage were Edomites. And you had some of the Cleopatras came out of the Seleucids, which were the Greek kings that ruled out of Syria. Then you had some of the Cleopatras coming out of the Ptolemies, which were the Greek kings that ruled Egypt. Should I go over this again? Okay, I'm going to go over again. What's your question? So I get your hand down.
Can you please tell us where you are right now?
I'm up here. I'm just putting it out. Oh, you want the scripture?
Yes.
Okay, we still in Joshua. I mean, the brother gave you the chapters in Joshua. We still in Esther. We still in Esther, but we through with Esther. I'm just bringing out some things now. I'm gonna tell you what verse to go to and what chapter. I'm just talking now. Right. We haven't went to a verse yet. I'm just going to the history. Last chapter we was in was Esther.
Exodus.
No, Exodus, right? Exodus.
No, the last chapter we was in was
Exodus.
Joshua.
No, we was talking about Joshua.
No, we were Joshua.
We was in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, and then I started talking about, I said, write it down. I started talking about Joshua. I said, write down the 6th chapter, all the way to the 13th, and then I started talking about the battle that we lost. And then the brother got the chapter and the scriptures to read on the battle that we lost.
Right.
Then I started going into the history of what happened, and then I went into the Herod.
Right.
I haven't went to a scripture yet.
That's where we at.
Right. I'm just talking. I'm just talking the history. I'm explaining the history, right? If I need to go back over it, if I'm going too fast, let me know, and I'll go back over. Do I need to go back over the Herod?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's take it from here. The Herod. Yeah.
We heard it in the Compact Dictionary.
Go
real
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
All right. Herod, Idumean, ruler of Palestine.
Right.
Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Line started with Antipater, whom Julius Caesar made curator of Judea in
Like a
47
governor.
BC.
They made a governor.
Right?
Right.
Herod the Great, first curator, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Slavic.
Procurator, which is a governor.
Of Galilee,
Mm-hmm.
then king of the Jews, 37
BC.
BC.
Right. Okay.
Built Caesarea, temple of Jerusalem, slaughtered children, death. His kingdom was divided amongst his 3 sons.
Right.
Archelaus, I could be pronouncing that wrong.
Oculus.
Right. Herod Antipas,
Right.
and Philip.
Right.
Archelaus ruled over Judea, Samaria, and Idumea 4 BC to AD.
Okay, that's enough on it.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
I just want to give you some.
Okay, now, we left Exodus. We finished Exodus, the 2nd chapter, and the 22nd to the 25th verse. Then from there, I started going into Joshua. I'm going back over. I started going into the history of Joshua, the battles that Joshua fought, how we got into the land of Canaan. Then from there, I went into that we lost a battle because of the curse thing, what you went into the scripture showed me. And I said, write these scriptures down. Go home and read them. And then we went into the Herods, that the Herod did the same thing that Exodus, the 2nd chapter, from the 22nd to the 25th verse, did. Herod did the same thing. Then I went into the history of the Herod. I haven't went to a scripture yet. I'm just going into the history. I said I'm going to call out most of the scriptures. I'm not going to go to a lot of them. I'm just going to call them out. So what I need y'all to do is listen and write. If I'm going a little bit too fast, let me know and we can always go back over what I went over. Now, the Herod, he took Jerusalem in 37 BC. Okay, now the Roman Senate, Augustus Caesar and Mark Antony, along with the Roman Senate, gave him a Roman army to go in to take Jerusalem in 37 BC. Now, 40 BC, you had the last Maccabee ruler by the name of Antigonus Matthias. He had Jerusalem. He was one of the last Hashmoneans, one of the last Maccabees. Write the name down. Antigonus Matthias. Look his name up. Get the dates, all the information that you can get about him, because he was one of the last Maccabees, rulers. Now, after the Herod took Jerusalem in 37 BC, they took Antigonus and the Parthians and some of Antigonus' top men and some of the top Pharisees, and they executed them. That's how the Herod became the king of the Jews. That's how he got in that position. Okay, I mean, you got to go into the history to get that. The scripture's not going to give you that. The scripture's going to give you where he's the king of the Jews and the wise men and so forth, but they're not going to give you the history of how he took Jerusalem. Okay.
Is this before Alexander the Great took over Greece? Was Herodian, was his kingdom established after Alexander the Great or prior to Alexander the Great?
Afterwards.
It's after?
Yeah.
Everybody's like grandson.
Because if you look at it, like I say, Antigonus Matthias was the last Maccabee.
Oh, okay.
Now, Herod had him executed, but the Maccabees that was before him, like Judas and his other brothers, they was fighting Alexander the Greek generals.
Oh.
You remember when Alexander the Greek died, and his kingdom was split between the four? Okay, that's Antigonus Matthias. His uncles and family was fighting those guys, and then it came all the way on down the line where the Maccabees was still in power at that time. They were still trying to hold on to Jerusalem, but you know, the Romans and the merger, the force was too tough for them. But it was time for them to come down anyway. That's all in the Most High's plan too. So when the Herod took control, he did the same thing that the Pharaoh intended to do. That's Satan working through the Herod. Okay? So his time was 37 BC to 4 BC. Write that down. Let's go to Hebrews 3, 1 to 2. The Hebrews, the 3rd chapter, 1 to 2. Now we're going into scriptures. Hebrews, the 3rd chapter, 1 to 2. Verse 1 and 2.
Hebrews chapter 3, verse 1. Wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Yahushua Mashiach,
Right.
who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Mashiach was faithful in all his house.
Read the 3rd verse.
For this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses.
Now, who was counted glory for? Who was counted worthy of more glory? Yahushua. Because if you look at Yahushua, was a type of Moses, but he was greater than Moses. And Moses prophesied about the coming of Yahushua. We're going to get there to Deuteronomy 18:15. Finish reading that.
Inasmuch as he who hath builded the house have more honor than the house.
Has more honor than the house. Yahushua has more honor than all them other prophets or whatever, including the nation. Okay, let's go to Deuteronomy 18:15.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 15.
Right.
The Most High thy power will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken.
You heard it, read it again.
The Most High thy power will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken.
Until him you shall hearken. He was talking about Yahushua. And then Peter came back and reiterated Deuteronomy 18:15. Let's go to Acts, the 3rd chapter, 22nd to the 26th verse. We're going to wrap it up in a few. Acts, the 3rd chapter, 22nd to the 26th verse.
Acts chapter 3, verse 22. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Most High your power raise up unto you for your brethren, of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear in all things whatsoever he shall say unto you.
Right, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed from among the people.
Right, go ahead.
Yea, and all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. Ye are the children of the prophets and of the covenant of which the Most High made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Right. Unto you first the Most High, having raised up his son, the Mashiach Yahushua, sent him to bless you in turning away every one of you from his iniquities.
Let's go to Revelation 12. Get a couple more, we're going to wrap it up.
So,
12th chapter. Let's read the 12th chapter and 1 to 6. We're just going to go through it.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Okay.
And she, being with child, cried.
When you read in Genesis about Joseph's dream, Joseph is breaking down the sun, the moon, you know, his father, mother the moon, his father, Jacob the son, and then the stars was his brothers. Okay. Read on.
And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
So Satan was ready to stop that promised seed, was attempting to stop that promised seed from coming. Read on.
And she brought forth a man child.
But in another class, we'll go deeper into Revelation 12 to deal with the symbolism of it. Okay? Read on.
And she brought forth a man child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto the Most High, and to his throne.
So now the child is caught up to the Most High and to his throne. So the dragon can no longer try to stop or attack the child. Now who is the dragon going to go after now? Read on.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of the Most High, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
So Satan is attacking the woman now. Like I said, next class we'll go more into the Revelation 12, and we'll deal with Daniel too. I kind of want to go into a little bit of that today, but I saved that, you know, since I kind of lost some of y'all, or y'all. I mean, it's like y'all make me feel like I lost you. so we'll do that next time, and we'll deal with Daniel 2nd chapter, 7th chapter, and the 8th chapter. You know, dealing with the empires from Babylon all the way down to the Romans, and then we'll deal with the legs, and then we'll deal with the toes. That's in the next class. So you read Daniel the second chapter, goes into those empires. Daniel the seventh chapter. Daniel the second chapter goes into the empires when it speaks about the Babylonians, the head of gold, and the breastplate of silver, the Persian Medes, and then the belly of brass, the Greeks, and then the iron is the Romans. And then the years and dates, and I add that in the next class, okay? And I add some of the battles that they fought to get those positions. And Daniel the seventh chapter is the same empires, but how the Most High is breaking down the symbols. He give it to you in the animals. The Babylon is a lion. Okay, then it said the Persian Mede is the bear. And then it go on and on. The leopard as the Greeks. And then this monster with these iron teeth is the Iron Roman Empire. Okay, so that's the seventh chapter. Now the eighth chapter, it basically goes into Alexander the Greek, and the ram, the goat as Alexander the Greek, and the ram as the Persians and the Medes, when Alexander, when the Greeks defeated the Persians and so forth. Now they had many battles. It wasn't just one battle. When it tells you that the goat with his horns ran into the ram and so forth, with choler, with anger. So it was different battles that they had for the Greeks to take down the Persians. Okay, then it goes into the Romans. Then it goes into the stone. The stone is who? Yahushua. And to tell you that the stone is going to crush what? The feet of that whole image. So we're living in the image of Nebuchadnezzar, from the head all the way down to the toes. And the stone is not going to go up to the head. It's going to crush what's left, the toes. But we'll go into that at a later time. Write those chapters and write those verses down, or if I was talking, write that down too. Because when I was going to the classes back at One West, I was writing down what brother, like I was doing the talk. I was writing that down. The examples that they was giving, I was writing it down, and all of my notes, I have the dates and the teachers. I got notes from '86 with the dates and the teachers and the days that they taught. I mean, you got a lot of history on Friday night. Yeshaya's class, you got a lot of history on that night. And different brothers taught different night. Now, Yaquar, the brother that's on that wall, the elder, Ariel's father, Wednesday, he was just coming off the top of the head, man. He didn't have no set class or nothing written down, nothing planned. But when he sit there, he go into, some talk about the life that he lived and so forth, down in Florida, the Everglades, Florida, right? And he goes into that. Then he go into the scriptures. And when you leave his class, you'll have a front page and back page full of scriptures. There's Yaquar coming right off the top. He didn't, like me, he didn't, got to go through notes. He came right off the top.
The rappers say off the dome.
Yeah, off the dome. And he was an elder brother, or older brother back then, coming right off the top with them scriptures, man. I mean, he was one of Rabbi Bibby's students too, along with Mashal. So with that, brothers and sisters, that's the end of the class. Write down, take the notes, study it, research it. If I slipped on something, or the dates or what have you, that's why I always say approximate. So if I slip, y'all bring it back to me, then let's break bread and get it right. Okay? Shalom.